Hello, you are listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. This is Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer and Amazon #1 best-selling author. And today we're going to be talking about how Feng Shui affects your health. Now, of my 8 books, I talk in great detail about how your environment affects your energy in my Amazon #1 bestseller, Unlimited Energy Now. So it's available both as a paperback, ebook, and an audiobook. So many of us, when we are working in natural health and natural healing, we forget that environment is the most powerful factor. Now, here today to explain how you can take charge of your Feng Shui to improve your health is Tanya Jahnke, who's a Feng Shui expert and intuitive designer. Tanya has been helping people to create nourishing, uplifting, and harmonious environments for the past 21 years. Tanya's Feng Shui approach is empowering and inspiring without any fear shui or superstition. Tanya's sole purpose is to help her clients design a dream life with simple shifts, positive vibes, and deep gratitude. I was just talking today to someone about the importance of gratitude, so important. Your home is a 3D vision board for your life. Utilize the ancient wisdom of Feng Shui to create perfect health, joy, and abundance on every level. So welcome, Tanya.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
And Tanya, will you share with everyone your website?
Yes, it's www.fengshuifortheom.com, and it's the number 4.
Right. Okay. So, Tanya, again, when we understand that your environment is the most powerful factor, a lot of us can understand this on a practical level. So for example, I'm in the South, I live in Atlanta. It's rained a lot over the past 2 days. And whenever you have heat and moisture, you get mold. So we can understand how mold can affect your health, but there's something more important than that, and that's your Feng Shui. So can you explain for our listeners, what is Feng Shui?
Yes, absolutely. So Feng Shui is intentionally designing your home to be supportive of your life. Like I said in my bio, it's a 3D vision board for your life, and you can use your home to create perfect health, abundance, prosperity, to conceive children, to find a loving partner. You can use it intentionally to invite everything that you're wanting to bring into your life. And the reason that Feng Shui is so powerful with health is that we are constantly bombarded with outward situations we can't control. The one thing we have control over is our home environment, and it has such a powerful influence. We're energetically connected to our environment, and we need that sanctuary, that safe place that we can come home, recharge our batteries, and go back out and face the day and pursue our dreams.
Now, can you share with our listeners about the background of Feng Shui? What country did it originate in?
Yeah, so Feng Shui is believed to be about 5,000 years old. It's an ancient wisdom that originated in China. And it was originally used by Chinese royalty and emperors to select auspicious sites for their buildings and their burial grounds, because the Chinese culture, they believed that having an auspicious burial site would bring good fortune for their family for generations to come. So it used to be only accessible to the elite and to the wealthy in China. It is now transformed and shifted a little bit and coming to America, and there are multiple schools of Feng Shui, all with slightly different approach to how you bring balance and harmony to your life with your home. Mine is Western and intuitive based, so it's very easy to access for people and to implement Feng Shui experiments and cures to just instantly bring change to your life.
Now, my understanding is that really good Feng Shui masters, such as yourself, use a compass and take directions. So what do you advise people about using a compass to direct your Feng Shui?
Right. The style of feng shui I practice does not use a compass, but there is the compass school of feng shui. And that is how it originated in classical feng shui, uses a compass. But because we can't affect the direction our house faces, and we can't oftentimes can't decide which way our bed can face just based on how the house is designed. The style of feng shui I use can be used on a room, on your whole home. You can feng shui a car or your desk. So my style is not based on compass.
How does our feng shui relate to our health?
It's everything. So, I was talking to a peer of mine, and she was at Canyon Ranch Resort, and all these women were having spa treatments and going and decompressing for the week, and just meditation and healthy food and all these amazing things. And then they would come home to their house and they would fall right back into the patterns that they were in before. And they would just slip right back into whether it was overwhelm or anxiety or depression or health issues. So your environment is constantly informing your health, and it's a reciprocal relationship. Like I said, we're so connected to our homes energetically. So feng shui, using your home to intentionally bring balance, you can affect every area of your health, your emotional health, physical health, spiritual health, and mental health. So.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying about patterns. And I've heard that if you want to change your life, change 27 things in your house.
Yes. It's such a powerful way to shift the energy really, really quickly. And you don't have to completely uproot 27 things. You can slightly shift a chair or pick up something on a tabletop and just move it a few inches. It's really just breaking up that stagnant energy and getting a flow going, and just kind of, we have these neural pathways in our brain and these patterns, even in our home. We use the same stove burner every day. And so it's mixing those patterns up to bring fresh opportunities and fresh chi to your life.
How can people begin to assess their space and implement feng shui to improve their health?
The style of feng shui that I use has a feng shui map called the Bagua, and it is made up of 9 different life areas, and your health and wellness and well-being is in the very center of the map. And so it's also in the center of your home. So it's why in China you used to see open courtyards with lush, vibrant plants and, just healthy, beautiful water flowing, and just a sanctuary where they could retreat to in the center of their homes. So if people want to check out and kind of assess how their health is doing, I advise them to go into the center of their home and see what they notice with their fresh feng shui eyes.
That's a really good insight. Now, I can remember, Tanya, years ago working with a client as a medical intuitive healer, and he had been sick since the day he was born. He was 22 years old, been to every kind of practitioner, both traditional and alternative. And I remember on the first session, I said to him, I need to go to your home. Mm-hmm. And I don't usually go to anybody's home. I usually just sort of read the situation and make recommendations. And I went to his home, and years ago, his house had caught on fire. So the fire department came, they put out the fire, but it had collected so much mold. And I found a really top-notch mold expert for that gentleman. And the mold expert said the mold was so bad that they were lucky to be alive. How can someone tell if they've got a chronic health condition like chronic fatigue or fibromyalgia or some chronic debilitating illness? How can they tell if their home environment is contributing to that? I've also worked with clients. I remember one time working with a gentleman about his office, and I said, you have radon in your office, and he got it tested, and lo and behold, he had radon in his office. So for ordinary people who are facing these health challenges, what are some of the signs in their feng shui that they need to actually look to their environment?
Yeah, well, I think a telltale sign is when people have chronic illnesses, if they feel better when they go on vacation, or if they're away from their home for an extended period and they notice that they're starting to feel better or more vibrant or energy is improving, that to me would be a huge red flag that it's their home that has some sort of culprit that's affecting their health. there's so many invisible influences on our health. There's EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies. All of these new homes have off-gassing from the furniture to the paint. There's so many toxic influences, even all the way down to household cleaning products that can negatively affect their health. So I would see if it improved ever when they left their home. Then I would say that they should start looking within their space.
Yeah, another example is I worked with, I did a medical intuitive reading recently, a couple months ago, with a young man and his mother in another state. And he had been sick again since the day he was born. And what was interesting is he had only lived in this one particular house, but the parents had lived elsewhere. And I figured out that there was an underground stream in the basement. And the mother said, "Oh yeah, we're dealing with this." And I said to her, "I don't think your son is going to get well until he actually leaves the home." Mm-hmm. And she had taken time off work, and they were directing a tremendous amount of money on drugs and supplements for this young man. But they weren't addressing the real issue, which is this, chronic moisture problem, which for some reason wasn't affecting the parents as adversely as the child.
Well, I think everybody in the home has a different constitution, and some people can live in an environment that's cluttered or has, a geopathic stress like you're talking about, naturally occurring underground water. And some people's constitution is very strong and they won't feel the effects immediately. It's like a slow drip over time. While other people are very sensitive to their environment and they can, they can't even be around perfumes or heavy cleaning solutions and they notice it immediately. So
yeah,
it's, every feng shui case is completely customized. And like your work, you're kind of going in like a detective to figure out, working from the microcosm out to the macrocosm. Is it their personal energy? Is it their, their bedroom? Is it their office? Or where the land that their house is sitting on? There's so many factors to consider in a feng shui consultation.
Yeah. Now let's talk about something that you brought up, which affects all of us who are listening to this broadcast, which is electromagnetic frequencies. Mm-hmm. So if you use a cell phone, if you're on a computer, if you have a microwave oven in your house, these are all EMF producing devices. Mm-hmm. So what is your advice for a good feng shui and helping to balance EMF energy? Because again, there are some people who are just super, super sensitive to that. Yeah. And I know myself as a medical intuitive healer, sometimes I recommend that people wear a little device like a Claris mm-hmm. that protects you against EMFs. And from natural healing, I'm really big fan of Qigong and Feng Shui, because when you practice Qigong and Feng Shui, you're balancing your own acupuncture system and you're clearing your own energy field. And what I notice is that people who do Qigong and Feng Shui are much less sensitive to EMFs. But what's your recommendation? Because this is something that's going to affect all of our listeners.
Yeah, it's impossible to avoid. I think, we live in this modern world where it's really, there's cell phone towers everywhere. They're even, just near schools and grocery stores within my neighborhood. But limiting your exposure when you're in your home. So not bringing your cell phone into your bedroom is a huge one. I've advised so many clients, you need to unplug and recharge, and your bedroom especially needs to be a sanctuary for rest and rejuvenation. So no TV or cell phone or those types of EMF producing devices in the bedroom, because not only is it a distraction for connecting with your loved ones, but it also just drains your health energy nonstop. Even if you're not using it, it's within your, reach and affecting your body. I also recommend a hunk of black obsidian in the health area of the home, or near them at their computer. If they're really affected by it, black obsidian helps to set a protective barrier and remove that negative influence on your body.
That's a great suggestion. Now, Tanya, what are some of the main feng shui situations that can contribute to poor health?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. Like I said, looking at the center of your house, we want it to be free and clear. So look to make sure that there's not stumbling blocks when you're, navigating that space, walking around. There's not overstuffed furniture or clutter or things low on the ground. Things on the ground tend to drain your energy and pull your energy down. So I would start there just by looking at that. And the element of the health area is the earth element. So you think about that grounded health. The health area, I like to think of it like a bicycle. So it's the Tai Chi. You know, a lot of people see the yin and yang symbol. That is the Tai Chi. That is the center of everything. It's where all the other 8 life areas come to meet in the middle, and they create unity and connection and perfect health. When every area of your life is flowing smoothly, then your health is also typically vibrant and functioning well. So I would look there, I would start in the health area and add healthy plants. You know, you could raise the light, you could put a lamp or some extra light in there to just raise the energy and lift it with light. You can use earth tone colors of the color of that area. So you can use like browns or yellows. You know, I had just had a client that loves sunflower fields. And so she put a beautiful oversized photo of a sunflower field in her health area because it just made her feel totally lit up. You know, yellow is one of those earthy colors that just is so nourishing for our energy. So I would start there, but there are so many tripping factors that you can find in your home, people that don't even realize they have electrical issues. You know, I had a client that had an electrical short and they were having all kinds of neurological issues in their space, in their body, because it was being mirrored back from their space. So I always tell people if they're having a health issue, let's look and make sure you don't have electrical issues. Leaks, water leaks are another huge one. The water element is associated with cancer and other issues, insomnia, all kinds of issues with water. So it can go from an emotional, like if you have an electrical issue, it can be a fire element thing, which would be anxiety, but it can go all the way up to a heart issue, you know, and everything in between. So check all the systems of the house for sure is one of my big pieces of advice.
That's really great information. Now, what about people who are listening who have small pets or small children? So yeah. Children, I can remember one time visiting my sister-in-law, and there were toys all over the living room. I mean, you literally couldn't walk through the room without stepping on a toy.
Right.
And I have a little dog. So what about the children and pet thing and the toys they accumulate? How
right.
Your feng shui?
Well, there's no such thing as perfect feng shui. So I tell people, give yourself a little breathing room. You know, you have pets, you have young children, you have to kind of work with what you have. But teaching them to only use like non-toxic toys. Like, so I just had a client whose child was having sleep issues and their bedroom was filled with brightly colored Legos and the room color, the paint was really bright. And so I would always start with your bedroom. Even if you have pets or children that you can't control the majority of your home, I would ask you to focus on your bedroom and make sure that that's really supporting your energy. It's like coming home to this hug every day that you just feel replenished. You can unplug, you can, you know, it's just about sleep and rejuvenating your energy field while you're asleep.
That's great advice. Now, Tanya, how can the listeners take charge of their health by using feng shui?
I think half of the battle is looking at taking accountability and looking at where you're feeling unwell and where you want to bring balance to your life. Once you have clarity on, you know, maybe your energy's a little low or maybe you've been feeling kind of anxious, starting with one area instead of trying to do the whole thing at once. So focusing on one area and then working on that in your space with intention to bring that back to balance, I think then that can start to bring a domino effect where you start to feel a little bit better and a little bit better. So it could be as simple as starting by decluttering one junk drawer or your closet or one space that really subconsciously bothers you and drains your energy. When we have clutter in our home, it reflects in our bodies. It creates stagnation within our interior, you know, the functioning of our organs and all of our internal systems. So even just decluttering one small space can really boost your personal energy.
Now, in my book, What is Healing? Awaken Your Intuitive Power for Health and Happiness, I talk about the way I look at things as a medical intuitive healer. And I talk about, I'm a simple person. I work with what I refer to as actual humans, as opposed to the ones in the textbooks.
Right.
And I say there's really only 4 problems: blocks, congestion, resistance, or interference. And congestion, which is what you're talking about with the clutter.
Yep.
When I know that congestion in the body is like hardening of the arteries, for example, or lymphatic congestion when our lymph doesn't flow through lack of exercise. So have you seen examples of clients' homes where their energy was so congested from all the clutter that it was really beginning to affect their well-being?
Yeah, I see it all the time. I actually just recently had a case. A gentleman called me, well, his wife called me to hire me for the feng shui, but he was experiencing sarcoidosis. It's a lung issue. And so we toured through his space, and there's an area of the home that relates to the head of the male head of the household. It's called the Helpful People and Travel area. And so we're touring through their space, and I see that this area that relates to his health and well-being is the garage, and it is literally floor to ceiling boxes, and also, you know, the cars, which are very toxic, and the fumes. It was so cluttered that they weren't even able to pull all of their cars and use the garage. So we talked about that, and also that area relates to your lungs and the metal element, which is the health issue that he was experiencing. So by decluttering that garage and purging all of that stuff and really intentionally cleaning it, they painted it and made it beautiful, he experienced a complete remission.
That's an incredible story. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And that's a really great example of what I talk about, that your environment is the most powerful factor.
Mm-hmm.
Now here, let's face it, we all have clutter. You eat lunch, you got to clean up your lunch. You got little kids or pets, you know, you work on a project, you write a book like I do, you're going to, you know, things are going to be not totally in place.
Yes.
How much clutter is too much?
Well, when it starts to affect your energy, I think it's time to address it. I mean, and it's a very subconscious, I mean, you may be able to shut the closet doors and try to ignore that, you know, I call it Monica's closet from Friends. You know, everything is kind of falling out, but you just shut the closet doors and try to ignore it. It gets to the point where you can't ignore it anymore because it just taps out all of your attention and energy. So, but start small. Like I said, it doesn't have to be all cleared at once. We're living human beings that are, you know, engaged in life. So like you say, you're going to write a book and you're going to have messy paperwork on your desk. You're being creative and you have some wiggle room there to do that. But the basement is your foundation. So I often see that clients have a lot of clutter stuff down in their basements. And that relates to their subconscious mind. And it's also the foundation for their life. So I say, you know, let's just start a little corner of the basement or their closet. That affects their self-esteem and how they're presenting out in the world. So depending on what issue is showing up in their life, how the clutter is affecting them, then I will give them guidance and homework of which area to start first.
That's great. I remember years ago, a friend of mine was moving her house, and I'm a helpful person. Yeah. And she asked me, she said, "Oh, Catherine, can I store my stuff in your basement?" No. And anyway, I made the mistake briefly of saying yes. And then it went on. And then I learned about what you're talking about, how your basement relates to your subconscious. Mm-hmm. And you know, that I was like, I called her one day and said, "Please remove all of your items."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and our things affect us, and they have such a dramatic effect on our lives. I think one thing to really look at with, even for feng shui and health, is symbolism in your home. Because it's affecting, you know, the symbolism in your art or the things that you're holding on to that are guilt trips or that you no longer love. People have a lot of times will have broken items that they're just making do with. Or I just had a woman who was looking for a partner, and she was in a depression. She was kind of low, feeling low. And her art, this one giant piece of art, was of this lifeboat in the middle of the ocean, completely alone, unanchored, with this sad person in this lifeboat. And so we talked about how that translates, you know, what message that's sending out when you see that every day. And you also stop seeing your own things. You know, she didn't even realize that art had that symbolism. So look at everything that's surrounding you and realize it has a dramatic impact on your life. It's really showing up in a real literal sense.
Now, I also have a question about house cleaning, because, you know, sooner or later we all need to mop the floors, vacuum, dust the furniture, etc. And how important is it that the person who has the house cleans the house. Because I know when I clean my own house, I'm spreading my chi throughout the house. So what's your thoughts on that?
I think people want to have a housekeeper, and they have a housekeeper that they respect and appreciate. Like we were talking about gratitude, I think that's completely fine. I mean, as long as you're not being forced to clean, or it's not lowering your energy every time you think, oh my God, I have to sweep. I like to clean, even though we have a housekeeper, I like to clean with intention. So I'll sweep our front porch and be like removing anything that's not in our highest good, getting rid of cobwebs and old dust. And I look at it as a way to really just lighten and brighten the whole energy of my home. And same when I'm vacuuming, I'll sprinkle some baking soda with essential oil, I'll let it sit out, or sea salt to soak up some negative energy, and then I'll vacuum that up, and I'll imagine just sucking up anything that is not in our highest good and infusing it. And then, turn on all the lights inside the house, open the windows, open the doors, and just getting that fresh energy moving. So it doesn't matter, I don't think, if it's you or a housekeeper or your family helping you out with chores, but just having it feel light and bright. I don't think it matters who does it.
Okay, now let's talk about clearing the energy, because I remember years ago when I was studying with my mentor in healing in Canada, she started out by talking to us and asking, what do you do to clear the energy in your healing space? And if you've been to my healing space is full of orchids and it overlooks my organic garden. So just being there is incredibly uplifting, and I vacuum it and dust and so on. But, many people use sage to clear their space. What are your thoughts on sage, and how profound can it be for a person's health?
Yeah, I think it's really important to clear your energy. And I also, other than just saging, which I think sage is nice, it clears, I consider it like dusting, like it cleans off the top layer that's been left there. But oftentimes people have layer upon layer upon layer that has been built up in a space. And it's even from predecessors that have lived there before, or from the land. And so I do a different type of space clearing that has dowsing involved in it, and it really transmutes the energy on a deep, deep level. But if people don't have the access to that type of space clearing, then saging, and then I also like to burn Palo Santo after I do sage. So the sage kind of clears the energy, and Palo Santo infuses the light back in.
That's really wonderful advice. And I also have dowsing rods.
Mm-hmm.
And dowsing is very, very powerful. I remember when I studied dowsing, I asked the gentleman who taught me dowsing, I said, you got to come to my house. And he said, wait a minute, Catherine, I just taught you how to do this. You douse the house. I said, no, you need to come. And he came, and there was a negative energy vortex in my backyard. And it was so powerful, he had knocked a tree down. And again, we live in the South. This is an area of literal Confederate battlefields.
Wow.
And he came, and it was so powerful, it had cracked the foundation of my house. And I had been through all these so-called foundation experts to look at the foundation. And at any rate, he came, and I had him identify where the negative vortex was. He shifted the energy, and after that, the crack in my foundation, the area stopped flooding.
Wow.
Which was really, really profound. So
yeah. It's powerful, and and it clears a multitude of layers. So it can work with geopathic stress like you were experiencing, or the history of the land. And then also the emotional residue that gets left behind, when you have a fight, or someone's been ill, or there's a divorce, all of those things need to be cleared out. But also I stress the importance of my clients clearing their own personal energy, not just with sage, but I like to do a white light meditation in the shower, and just imagine rinsing off anything that they've picked up that doesn't belong to them, and getting that stress, everything washed away, and calling in whoever they believe in, God, angels, universe, to bless them and protect them and surround them with white lights as they go through their day.
Yeah, I will share this with our listeners also. I can remember years ago, a client came to me with high blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I figured out that she had an actual ghost in her bedroom.
Wow.
And when they checked on it, a previous owner, there was a young woman who literally died of a drug overdose in the bedroom. And she was still there. So I brought another healer with me. I didn't want to do it on myself. And the house was so contaminated with negative energy. It had been, all this was corroborated when they looked at the history of the property. There'd been KKK on the property. Again, this is the South. And so at any rate, we did what we could to clear the energy, but in the end, they ended up selling the house, which I actually think was the right thing to do.
Right.
Now, are there any feng shui tips for people dealing with fear, anxiety, overwhelm, especially with recent world events?
Yeah, I'm seeing it so much. I think, people are feeling exhausted and ungrounded. And so that's where it's really critical to make sure that the feng shui of your house is a safe haven that you're returning to, and you feel really grounded and protected and safe while you're at home. So starting small, like I said, the bedroom, or even just a chair, like a landing spot for your energy. I also have been really telling clients that it's important to have a daily meditation practice or qigong or something. I call it inner feng shui, something that's cultivating their energy and making them grounded and kind of moving that through. Even just walking out in nature is huge right now to release all of this anxiety and fear. Nature is a natural energy clearer. So just even whether they can put their bare feet in the grass or sit their tailbone at the base of a big tree. I know you have a ton of large trees down there in the South, but just really grounding their own energy so that when they're going out into the world, they're not so scattered and overwhelmed and drained. And also hydration is huge. I'm finding that so many of my clients are completely dehydrated as they're trying to deal with the day-to-day stressors.
Right. And when we're dehydrated, you're much more sensitive to EMFs when you're dehydrated. Your nervous system becomes overreactive to your cell phones and your computers when you don't get enough water.
Absolutely.
Now, Tanya, do you have any case studies or examples pertaining to feng shui and health? I love the story about cleaning out the garage and then the gentleman's lung issues cleared.
Yeah, there's so many. From emotional health to physical health, being able to go in and assess in a person's home where they're out of balance, and then seeing it that they're showing up with actual symptoms. Like I just did an old home, and the entire exterior of the home was covered in ivy, like this growing vine. And I felt it as soon as I pulled up. It was very choking kind of energy. And when you have that kind of ivy and overgrowth on your home exterior, the exterior of your home is like your skin. So it typically shows up as rashes, irritations of the skin, or also asthma. Like I was saying, it's kind of like that choking energy. And this client had all three of those. She had like this eczema that she could not get rid of. She had breathing issues. And then she also just felt anxiety because it gives you that constricted feeling. So she cut away all of that ivy, and she said it was literally like a rebirth. She said she felt so like she could take a deep breath, like it was a breath of fresh air, and her skin condition cleared up. So I love being able to work with clients like you do to figure out, pinpoint the exact, and it's usually not what they think it is that's holding them back or keeping them ill or feeling stuck. So I love that we can use feng shui and medical intuition and healing to shift that energy and give them their power back to heal.
Now, what are your thoughts on diffusing essential oils in the space to help shift the energy in an area?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think I use essential oils all the time. Depending on what I want, I'll do grapefruit if I want to boost the mood. I'll do lavender for my kids in their bedrooms before they go to bed. I have a spray bottle with Palo Santo that I love to spray that in case, some people can't have holy smoke of sage or Palo Santo. So you could diffuse that essential oil. I think it's a powerful feng shui cure to do essential oils.
What are some of the easiest feng shui tips that listeners can try today to start improving their health?
I would say start by buying one healthy green plant at minimum and infusing some of that living energy into your space. And as you're taking care of that plant or those plants that you bring in, it's a reminder to nourish yourself and take care of yourself, but it's also so full of bright, vibrant, living energy that it just adds to the space. So I would, even if you can just buy one healthy green plant or orchids are great. They're a symbol of luxury and they're very low maintenance. So I love to have orchids in the bathroom or master bathroom. That's a really simple tip. Essential oils, like we talked about, are an easy thing to add. Color and sound. I mean, you can play music that you love. That improves your health instantly and your concentration and productivity. There's simple, inexpensive things like that you can add to your space that are huge health boosters.
And how can people set their home up for a holistic, healthy lifestyle?
I think it starts at your front door. That's where all the energy comes to you. The front door is like the mouth on your body. It's hugely important. So I like to have people pretend that they've just seen their house for the first time. They're a visitor, they're a stranger. What is the first impression? Is the pathway clear to their front door? Is the doorbell working? Does it have dust and cobwebs and kind of look hard to navigate the pathway to your front door? So I like to give that excellent invitation for nourishing energy to come. They can paint their front door in a color that they love. They could flank the front door with healthy living plants. So it all starts with the front door. That's like nourishing yourself the best possible way. And then secondarily, I would look at your kitchen, which relates to your health and well-being as well, your dining room and kitchen. They could add a bowl of fresh fruit there, just whether it's a bowl of 5. So 5 is the number, the numerology of health. So they could add 5 yellow lemons, or just a bowl of healthy fruit that they see every day. Start there. And then, like I said, the centerpiece of their house is kind of like the center of the bicycle wheel. It's where all of those, spokes come together in the middle. So look at the center of your home and of every space, of every room, look at the center to see what you notice.
Now, going back to what we talked about, how if you want to change your life, change 27 things in your home.
Mm-hmm.
So can you give us, if someone was listening and they wanted to change 27 things in their home to improve their health, what are some other additional steps that you would recommend in addition to decluttering and cleaning?
Make sure that I like to buy fresh flowers once a week and treat myself with that. So just those healthy living things that you can add are quite easy, simple feng shui cures. I'm trying to think of another thing I can give you as a takeaway. The bedroom, buying fresh sheets. Green sheets are excellent for health to sleep on. So, your mattress is like an energetic sponge. So I might look at that and start with that and see if they could buy new bedding, or if they've been ill or had a divorce, they might want to consider clearing the energy of their mattress and then buying new sheets, because the bed is the foundation for your life and your relationships and your health. So just a simple, start small, don't try to overwhelm and do the whole feng shui of your space all at once, but take baby steps. And whatever, I also say, it's whatever you resonate with, what makes you think of vibrant health, and whatever that is, bring symbols of that into your space.
That's a great idea. Now, why should feng shui be considered as a supplemental healing modality for people dealing with health challenges?
I found feng shui to be so insanely powerful. It walks hand in hand with, Western medicine and alternative healing modalities. Feng shui is just exactly like acupuncture, but it's for your home. So working with those subtle energies and shifting just a small thing here or there can have a profound impact on your health. So I consider feng shui to be a masterful tool in your healing toolbox.
Yeah, and I know as a medical intuitive, I can't tell you how many clients doing a medical intuitive reading with them, and I will advise them to hire a feng shui master. Mm-hmm. And I'll tune into different areas in their home and say, okay, this is not right. I know your house is beautiful, but the energy is not supportive of your well-being. Mm-hmm. So can you give us some examples of how, as a feng shui master, when you're looking at a person's house or feeling the energy of their home, what are some of the ways that you know that their home is not supportive of their health?
Lots of some big telltale signs are when I see lots of potpourri or dried, dead kind of faux flowers everywhere. I call them crispy crunchies. They're just they're very stagnant, dead energy. Sometimes I'll obviously clutter, but sometimes I'll see an abundance of books that they don't use or read, and books are dead wood energy. And so that really lowers your vitality. Those are some quick things. Like I said, I always look at the art to see. I had a gentleman recently that was looking for a job, and in his career and life path area, he had a huge image of this overweight chef. And one of his issues that he was dealing with was being overweight. And so we talked about, like, this is literally translating in your life with a weight issue, on your life path. So he took that art down. So just play with it. If you notice something that isn't resonant with who you are or who you want to become, I say move it out for a while. Like your friend trying to store her stuff in your basement. Get rid of all of other people's energy, guilt trips, things you don't love or use, and getting rid of those low vibration items will instantly lift your energy.
Right. Now, can you share with our listeners, explain a little bit about the 5 elements, because Feng Shui is, I know, based on the 5 elements.
Yeah. And so just like acupuncture, 5 elements of Feng Shui are water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. And these all are part of the natural cycle of nourishing. They affect absolutely every area of your life. From, there's Chinese face reading. So there are Chinese masters that can read your face like a blueprint for your health using the 5 elements that show up in your face. Then you can intentionally use the 5 elements in your space by adding, candle or animal prints or faux fur, or the color red for if you're needing some fire element. So everything is like a dance about balancing the 5 elements. And so I, as a Feng Shui master, come into your space and see which elements are out of balance. Usually people are really heavy-handed on 1 or 2 elements, and they're completely missing some of the other elements. So it's just fine-tuning it and really dialing in what they need more of to bring them back to balance.
And can you talk a little bit about crystals and using crystals to help balance the earth element?
Yeah, so crystals and geodes are actually metal element. They are the purest form of earth energy. So earth creates metal. So they pull geodes out of the earth, and those crystals are then considered the metal element. And each geode or crystal has its own energetic property. So, I'm obsessed with crystals. I have them all over our house for different reasons. You can use them, for healing, for removing negative energy, for grounding, even just a piece of rose quartz in your bedroom to balance your marriage or your relationship or to invite partnership. So I love crystals. I use them all the time. But there's also the clear Swarovski quartz crystals that people hang as a Feng Shui cure. I'm not sure if that's what you're also referencing.
Yes.
But those disperse energy, and they're really beautiful to hang from the ceiling. I actually love, that's an easy cure in health, to hang a clear crystal from the ceiling in the middle of your home to balance and harmonize all the energies of all of the 9 life areas.
That's a great one. And what are your favorite crystals, like rock crystals, to balance the energy in your home? I've got a beautiful amethyst geode in my office, which
me too. I have amethyst on my desk. In the center of our home, we have smoky quartz and clear quartz. We have one of each. The clear quartz clears the way. It removes all obstacles, kind of like Ganesha does. It lights the way and clears the way. And then smoky quartz is just very grounding and protective. And it also transmutes negative energy. So we've got both the yin and the yang balanced there in the center of our health area. We have one of each of those crystals. And then we also have a healthy plant there, and beautiful artwork that makes us all feel super happy.
That's great. And as you talked about, Tanya, this is an ongoing process, just like being healthy is an ongoing process.
Yeah.
You're never really done with your home.
No, you don't just get feng shuied once and then you're done for life. It's an ongoing, lifelong process where you can really fine tune. And like I said, I love to use it as a vision board for my life. So whatever's coming up that you want to focus on, you can work on that area of your home. But health is really the ultimate wealth. So the health area affects every single aspect of your life. And it's, I think, the most important aspect of Feng Shui.
So thank you for this very valuable and useful information. You've been listening to Tanya Jahnke of Feng Shui for the Home, for the Om. And Tanya, will you spell your website for our listeners?
Yes, thanks. It's www.fengshui4theom.com, Feng Shui for the Om.
And you've been listening to Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer and Amazon #1 bestselling author. You can find out more about me at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. And again, I talk in my book, my Amazon #1 bestseller, Unlimited Energy Now, about the importance of clearing your energy and keeping your home clear with good Feng Shui for your overall life vitality. So this has been really useful information from Tanya. Thank you so much for listening. And remember that when you keep your Feng Shui balanced, you keep your health balanced. Thanks so much for listening. See you next time.